Alright, so my house was the scene of a horrific, heinous crime that took place just recently. My Corey's dead, right? I need to find out how. I need to find out who did it. This heinous crime cannot go unpunished. We want justice. In order to get justice, we need to find out who did it. Luckily for me, I'm an amateur part-time criminal investigator. I got my suspicions. There's a couple of shifty cats up in that tank, but come with me as I find out what happened. I'm going to be using the who, what, when, where, and why method, and hopefully you guys can do this for yourselves if for some reason this happens to you.
Which one of y'all did it, huh? Was it you? It was you, Brazilians. You never liked him. You always resented him.
Alright, let's talk about who. Who all is involved? Well, obviously, it's the albino Corey Della's catfish who was belly up at the top of the water that you saw earlier. We have some angelfish. They are in the cichlid family, so they can get kind of rowdy at times, and they spend most of their time here. Who else is involved? We got assortment of geophagus. I'm not going to get into what types they all are, but they will range in size from about, let's say, I'll give this one about, 6, this probably get about 6 inches, to the biggest one that will actually get anywhere from 10 to 12 inches in there, and everything in between. We have a dwarf flag AQUA. I actually did a video about him just recently, and he's a dwarf cichlid. And I have a clown placo, and a female bristlenose placo. Now let's talk about personalities. Like I said, the angels are a South American cichlid, so they can have a rowdy streak. Now, these guys really only get rowdy when they're in breeding mode, which right now they're not breeding, but even if they was breeding, they really only territory around where their eggs are. And when they do lay eggs, it's usually on this side of the glass, and I got another pair that lays on that side of the glass, but it's about this high. The Corey cats stay low at the bottom, so there's no real interaction between them two. These geophagus, assorted geophagus right here, those guys are also cichlids, but I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Geophagus, as far as cichlids go, are the most docile, and they normally stay about right where you're seeing them, right? Feeding time, they'll move around, they stay down at the bottom to feed. Placos, the clown placo, itty bitty little guy, but my albino bristlenose, it pretty much is topped out. It's probably, I don't know, what you think? That big? 5 inches, I guess. And she ain't gonna get no bigger. But neither one of those placos are rowdy. The cordyceps that you see right here, the dwarf flag AQUA, now it can get territorial just like every other cichlid. But like I said, most of it's during breeding time, just like the angels.
I would dare to say it was Colonel Mustard in a conservatory with a candlestick holder.
Okay, so now let's talk about what happened. Well, the Corey cat died. The Corey cat was dead. And how do fish die? There are many different ways on how fish die. Water quality, which my water quality is pretty good. Not bragging, nothing like that, not bragging. It's good. I'm just saying. Aggression, they could have been beat up. But like I said, the meanest fish in this tank would be the angels, but they never spend the same, they never take up the same space. My Corys stay at the bottom, my angels stay mid-level and at the top. The only time you might see an angel down at the bottom is if they're trying to grab some food.
Oh man, that was messed up, man. Pobrecito Corey, he don't do nothing to nobody, you know? He don't mess with nobody, he don't hurt nobody. He just, I know see the whole thing. Don't think, cause I know snitch. Cause I know snitches get stitches, I'm blind and I know out of this.
What else can cause death in a fish? illnesses. Well, none of my fish show any signs of illness. Food, they're not getting enough food. I feed pretty good. I'm not that the cories eat down at the bottom. They're a scavenger, and you also have the plecos that also scavenge, and the geos. They're called geophagus, earth eaters. So what they do is they pick up sand with their mouths, and then they spit it out, keeping the little bits and teeny weeny morsels of food. But you know, I got food that sinks down to the bottom. I have food appropriate for all the levels of the tank. What else can cause? Just, you know what? Sometimes it's just their numbers was called. You know, sometimes their DNA just says that's it. You're done. Stress can also be a cause of a fish death. They get stressed out so much that they die. Those are pretty much the main reasons fish die in the home aquarium. You know, food, water, aggression, stress. Those are pretty much the 4 biggies.
You know what? Come to think about it, Veiled Angel, I remember that time where he said that joke about your mother. You didn't like it very much. It burned, didn't you? How long did you keep that inside, just festering?
So we got the who, we got the what, when. Well, let's talk about the timeline, okay? This aquarium right here, it is, I can tell you right now, it's older than what it looks. I mean, I moved in here 5 months ago, so I can tell you it's been with these fish 5 months or longer because it had these fish in it before I moved to this home. So I'm gonna give it older. I'm gonna say with the inhabitants, granted, you know, some have slowly came in, you know, at different times, but with the inhabitants, it's going on a year old. Why? Why is this important for me to know why this fish died? Well, it could be a sign that something's wrong. I tested the water, so it's not that. So it could be a sign that I got a bully in there. It could be a sign that I got an illness. So it's very important that I know why this happened, so that it doesn't happen again. Okay, now we're gonna talk about how. How did I find him? What condition was he in? And how am I gonna find out by all of this information that I'm gathering? How am I gonna find out how he died? Well, the condition that he was in, well, the condition that he was in was he was jacked up. I mean, no eyeballs. You know, he was picked at. The other fish picked at him. So that tells me something. That tells me that even though this fish died, and fish don't normally eat other, I mean, I'll do it out of curiosity, but I don't have no aggressive scavenging. I don't have no catfish in here. Plecos will, if a fish dies, a pleco will, you know, munch on it after. But because there's no tank aggression, I don't believe he was beat up. The fact that he was so munched on makes me think, okay, either the plecos came across them, or maybe my other fish were hungry enough to pick at him. Okay, so that's, I want to stop right there. I want to talk about that. My other fish were hungry enough to peck at him. Look, we all know that consistency and balance is key to a healthy aquarium. But when you have consistency and balance over a long period of time, sometimes you end up with complacency. Sometimes you take for granted that you might have to change stuff up. Why am I talking about this? Why am I talking about changing stuff up that has been working? Well, when I got all these fish, they were smaller. And because of the good care that I gave to them, they grew at a decently fast rate. But I didn't really change their feeding habits because it was working. Why change what's worked, right? Well, here's my theory. And let me know if you already figured this out in the comments below. And tell me what else could this be. But this is my theory. And this is something that, even if it's not the cause of the fish's death, it's something that I really have to take a look at because I've been slacking. When I got all these fish, they were appropriate size. They were appropriate matches. Angels can live with cories. Angels can live with geos. Geos can live with angels. Geos can live with cories. All through the line, all these fish, temperament-wise tank requirement wise, all of them match. They all eat the same types of food that I was giving to them, and whatever food was different, I did, you know, adjust accordingly for them. But I did not take into consideration that as these fish were growing, because I was so worried about fouling up the water, to up their food level.
Okay, but hypothetically speaking, right? If I did see something, is there like a reward or something like that? Maybe a bounty?
These geos right here, let me give you a little idea of what happens when I feed these geos. Okay, now when I first got this tank and I first put all these fish together, like I said, they were the same size. But as time went on, now watch what the geos do. As time went on, the geos got bigger and they needed more food. So they became more food aggressive. They ate more food, so there was not enough food for this these cory cats to eat. That's my 100. That's my opinion. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that because I did not take the food into consideration as time went on, that these geo size just pushed the cories out the way so they didn't get nothing to eat. Now I did do a video on feeding fish, and one of the things I said about the important thing as far as feeding fish, how much to feed them, is look at their bellies. If their bellies are flat or concaved inwards, then they wasn't getting enough food. How are you gonna tell that on a fish that always swims on its belly like a cory cat? These other fish, you know, swim, you know, across here so I can see their bellies, but I can never see a cory cat's belly. So I didn't think about it. I got complacent. I just assumed everything was going well, and why fix something that's not broke, right? So, who really killed cory? Was it the geos with their hungry hippo attitude towards food? Did they get so big and just push the little cories out the way so the cories didn't have no food and they starved? Or was it me? Because I left well enough alone and didn't think to recalculate, take a second look periodically over the conditions of the fish and the settings. You know, what I'm gonna do now is I gotta remove the cories, okay? Because they're not getting enough food. I mean, as I fed just now, I didn't even see the ones that were in there come out to eat, and I think it's because of the fear of the bigger fish. So I'm gonna remove the cories. I got some other things. I gotta find another scavenger, or maybe I don't. Maybe those geos are enough with their size. I did it. I killed the cory cat. Okay, everybody, that's my time. And if you enjoyed this type of content, please feel free to check out some of these other videos that I feel are very, very helpful in your fish keeping hobby. For instance, this food video and this filtration video. Like always, take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your fish.